Good evening, everyone. For those that have joined the group so far, just wanted to say hello. The webinar here will start just shortly after 7 o'clock, so we can make sure everybody has a chance to get on. Just so everybody is aware, this is a webinar format, so you'll be able to use the chat and the Q&A function to talk to the panelists, but there won't be your mic and audio. I'm sorry, your mic and video are not displayed. So that's just us tonight. But the Q&A is the best way to get a hold of us with questions as we go through the program. We'll go over that in a little bit, but just wanted to remind everybody of the format. So looking forward to a great meeting, and we'll be back with you in a few minutes. Good evening, everyone. Just wanted to let you know we're going to give it a couple of minutes. We're still waiting for a few folks to join us tonight, so hang tight. We'll be starting in a few minutes here. This is a webinar format, so your mic and video are not live, so you can. This is a chance for you to relax and just hear from us and use the Q&A feature. So talk about that more in a little bit, but hang tight. We'll be with you shortly. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Virtual Leaders Update. This is our March 8th edition, and we are excited to share some Resica Falls news with you tonight. So before we get started, just want to do a couple of housekeeping tips for those that have been on the entire time. You've heard this spiel at least once or twice, but this is, we are using the Zoom webinar format. So that means that your video and your mic are not live. So no need to worry about what you look like or what you sound like tonight. This is just our chance to share some information with you. You can, though, use the Q&A feature. If you look at probably it's on the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A feature. That's the way to ask us questions throughout the presentation. We certainly ask that you hold off on questions until we get through a certain topic. So, we're covering a lot tonight. So there's a good chance we're going to be able to answer your question before, that we'll be answering your question before, before the end of that topic. So just hold on to questions and then we'll be able to get them at the end of the night. So anyway, we are excited to be able to share some updates with you. Still excited and for a great summer this summer. So I want to be able to introduce the team that we have here from Resica Falls. My name is John. I'm our Director of Outdoor Adventures for the Cradle of Liberty Council. And here with us tonight, we have Steve Mock, the incoming camp director, Jerry Reed, the assistant camp director, Jacob Huff, the program director and the knight in chainmail over there, Andy Connell, our assistant program director, and Matt Gutterman, our pandemic response coordinator. So we are, as we kick off here, we've got a lot to share with you. This is mainly going to be program focused as well as some of the COVID updates. So stay tuned for a great meeting here. Before I depart you and turn the meeting over to Steve, I just want to share a couple of registration reminders with everyone. First of all, remember to get your scouts with their names logged into the double knot system now. The $50 per scout deposit was due last Monday. So make sure that you take care of that and updating the names in the system. So that way, when you go to register for your merit badges and other program opportunities, they're already in there. That will make it much more smooth for you when you go to do that. So make sure you take care of that now. That program registration will go live on April 1st at 10 a.m. So just make sure that you're ready for that. And lastly, always everybody has your system set up a little bit differently in double knot. If you set up a recurring payment, we'd encourage you to go in and remove the recurring payment for your summer camp. We've had a couple of people call us this week about that because they got hit with a big credit card charge on Monday. And that is certainly not pleasant. So I would encourage you that if you're signed up for recurring payments in the double knot system, to go in and just remove that, so you're not getting charged with that as the other payment deadlines come up that are more significant. So wanted to share those couple of registration reminders with everybody. As units add and subtract youth, there are, the numbers each week continue to change. So if you need to add kids, you can check with the office camping at colbsa.org, and Tracy is happy to help with that. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to our camp director, Steve Mock. Steve, take it away.
All right, thanks, John. So we're going to run through our agenda here real fast, what we kind of got lined up for you tonight. And there's 4 points that we sort of want to hit upon. We're going to do a quick COVID-19 update for kind of where we stand with a couple features now, a month later and a month closer to summer camp, with some pretty positive news in that regard. Jacob and Andy are going to take it away and go over some program changes and talk about our theme and making sure everyone's getting excited about that. And then I'm going to wrap it up talking about our new Seek program that we're going to be offering this summer. So throughout the evening, myself and Jerry will also be answering questions in the Q&A feature to make sure that everybody is being, getting answers that they're going to be happy with. But I ask, if you have some, deep program questions or things like that, let's wait and see what Jacob and Andy have in store for us before we get too into what some of those questions might be. So at this point, our good friend Matt Gutterman, our pandemic response coordinator, is going to hit upon our COVID updates. Matt?
Thanks, Steve. And just one quick reminder, if you weren't able to join us for last month's meeting, we've uploaded the recording of that up to YouTube. So make sure you check all that out. Last month focused a lot on the COVID updates as well as some of the logistics about heading into the summer. So real quick, a couple COVID updates. We have some good news for you guys. So Pennsylvania changed their travel restrictions over the past couple of weeks. So out-of-state travel restrictions have been lifted. You're no longer required to quarantine or have that negative COVID test within 72 hours of arrival. What that does mean is that carpooling is also now allowed, but we're still encouraging units to encourage individual families to carpool instead of carpooling amongst the unit. That way, if a car needs to be sent home at check-in due to a temperature check or other symptoms, only that scout will have to go home and not a portion of the unit. This past weekend, we were able to meet with our food service vendor on site at Resica Falls. And like we had previously discussed, they're on board for doing 3 shifts per meal with us. This will allow us to maintain that social distancing while we're serving food, and still allow for the high quality food that you've seen in previous summers. If you haven't seen it yet, we do have a new dietary restriction form posted on resicafalls.org. Make sure you check that out. We're putting a special emphasis on making sure that dietary restrictions get handled properly this year. The form is simple, but all-inclusive. So make sure if you have any type of restriction that you head online and fill that out before you get to camp. And finally, during our meeting with the food service vendor, we were able to determine that we'll be focusing on serving individual meals via the serving line this year. So if you've been to Resica Falls before, this will look very similar to the lunchtime logistics that we typically have. You'll be getting your red tray with all the food served on it. And there'll still be that grab and go line to get the additional options throughout the meal. And as sort of as I alluded to before, make sure you're visiting resicafalls.org for the latest forms. A lot of stuff that we talked about last month with the roster forms and the dietary restriction forms and all that stuff, a lot of that has been posted at this point, and we'll continue to update the website with the latest and greatest information. So I guess before we move on, do we have any questions so far in the chat related to our COVID-19 updates?
Yeah, somebody wanted to just clarify that the food isn't going to be prepackaged.
Nope. So at this point, we're focusing on hot and plated meals as the scout is going through the line. Our vendor will be plating the meal as the scout's there for them to pick up. So it'll still be an individual meal, but it will follow a lot of the practices that that vendor is currently using in college campuses and schools around the country. Great. If there's nothing else, we'll keep moving on.
All right, thanks, Matt. So up next on our next slide, right, the program guide went live towards the middle to the end of last week, okay? Yesterday, there was we noticed a few schedule issues and things like that. So we adjusted those schedule issues and have updated a revised edition of the guide. There's a few other tweaks and things that happened. Jacob and Andy are going to hit upon some of those things. But for now, make sure you check out those guides. The latest editions for the Leader's Guide and the Program Guide are on resicafalls.org/important documents, or you can find that through the navigation under Summer Camp Important Documents. So at this point, Sir Jacob, the Blue Knight, and Sir Andy, the Gray Knight, are going to take it away and start hammering home about our program that they have lined up for us this summer. So Jacob and Andy, go for it, guys.
I was muted. I'm not used to this newfangled technology as a medieval knight, but I will get used to this. So I'll start here with some merit badge information. So the merit badge registration is required this year because the sizes of the badges are capped. So you want to make sure you get in right when you can to get those badges scheduled. You can have your scouts look through the merit badge schedule and kind of pick some times, things like that. And then maybe have a backup here or there. The registration is going to go live on Double Knot on April 1st. I believe that I read the time was 10 a.m. Is that correct, John?
Yes, 10 a.m.
Yes,
10
10
a.m. All right, excellent. So again, you want to have your scouts look through the list, kind of make their schedules up with, leader guidance. There are things that are sometimes handy to remember, such as if you're going to take a lake merit badge, it might be good to schedule that either for all morning and take badges there or all afternoon and not have your scout, hiking to the lake back and forth and tiring themselves out. They might get a little tired of it after a little while. So I believe that that's a tip and a trick that's listed in that guide, the program guide. Again, all the classes are limited in size. So you're looking at around 10 to 15 per class, depending on what the class is. We went around, we measured different areas in camp to see how many we could fit in different areas. So we limited that. It's going to be really beneficial, not just because of social distancing, but also to, really personalize those badges. Sometimes when they get really big, it's tough. Like a kid can kind of sneak back in the back there and not participate as much. It really gets all the scouts involved. And that way, they're getting the most out of the badge that they possibly can. We want these badges to be memorable. Even doing interviews when we're talking to staff members that we're hiring, we're asking them like, what's memorable about the merit badges that you've taken at Resica Falls? And there are ones that really specifically stick out to them. And we want that for every scout that's coming to Resica Falls. We want them to have a really memorable experience and really enjoying their time and getting the most out of the merit badges that they possibly can. So again, doing so by limiting those numbers is going to be really beneficial to each and every scout that's taking those badges. We also have a new badge in 2021 this year, which is going to be at the shop, and that is automotive maintenance. It's going to be really fun. It's something that I think is really easily doable at camp for us, but it's also something that's going to be things that scouts some might come in and have some experience in doing that, and some might come in and not have much experience doing that. But it's going to be something that, just like all the merit badges, hopefully build a lifelong hobby and possibly a career path for some scouts in the future. So again, a new merit badge for this year is automotive maintenance. Let's see. I'll talk about the leaders know-how as well. Previous years, we've had leaders challenges, which have been some games, things like that around camp. Leaders know-how this year is going to be a little bit more skill-based and a little less competition and more so just some really fun and cool ideas that you can bring back to your unit once the summer's over. Some of these things include possibly box ovens, learning how one works, how to build one, what kind of things you can cook in those, possibly getting to sample some food that we have set up. I wanted to go over some, or have Scoutcraft specifically go over some things such as different types of lashings that we usually don't use. We're used to round lashings, square lashings, your tripod lashings, but there are really cool things like Japanese square lashings that are really, really strong, and they're actually really, really quick to lash that not a lot of leaders know about. So, taking some of these more advanced skills that units don't always utilize, and teaching the leaders so they can bring those back and have some real fun with their scouts as well. That may also then benefit those that are doing the catapult competition, which we're going to talk about later. You'll practice a lot of these lashings for these catapults, but maybe during the week you learn some of these new lashings that can replace some of the more traditional lashings that are going to be equally as strong, but a new fun way to do it. So again, leaders know how it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to list in the daily newsletter every day where that's going to be held, so you can go and learn some really cool new skills that you can then bring back, talk to your unit about. Andy, do you want to talk about High Five Adventure Club a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. All right. So our High Five Adventure Club, no more colloquially as simply High Five, in the past has taken place in the afternoon time slot, typically from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. What's changing this year is we're moving that time slot to the morning period in order to be able to have a bit more flexibility with the opportunities available to them. They're still going to be doing all the fun things they've done in the past, hiking to various swimming holes, hiking to various points around the reservation, having some interesting opportunities with open shoots at our ranges. All the opportunities are still going to be there. It's a different time slot. And if I'm not mistaken, we are having a sign up for it on Double Knot. Is that something we're still proceeding with? It is. In order to help make consistent numbers. So if a scout is interested in that, sign up. It's going to be the full week program as opposed to how it's been in the past of just showing up for here and there. So that way you can fully commit to the program. You can fully commit to running a bigger and better one. And you don't have to hear in the morning, oh, we're doing this really cool thing, and then skip a badge. It's your morning program is the High Five Adventure Club. All right. And then next on the thing, you can see we have Campers Campfires. This year, we're changing up the formula a little bit. Instead of having one big Campers Campfire in the arena, we're mixing up. We're having our Campers Campfire nights. We're encouraging each troop to plan and organize their own campfire in their campsite with the traditional skits and jokes and fun and revelry. We're encouraging also, if there's a staff member or staff members that you do enjoy, that your scouts enjoy and would like to have them be there with your troop, to invite them up, to approach the staff member and say, hey, we would like to cordially invite you to our Campers Campfire tonight. We're in this campsite, please stop by. And if that scout is available, if that staff member, again, we're going to highly encourage that they do, they'll show up, have some fun with your troop and your unit. Then we've got the Moat Mayhem. This is in addition to our Monday night games. We are going to be running a Tuesday night water carnival. We're looking at the same at high energy, same games all around the parade field, some games even in the pool. Just another night of high activity. And this is going to be in addition to the standard Tuesday fare of the triathlon and the twilight programming, but more games that are water-based. Some of the highlights, we've got a couple planned so far. Typical like bucket relays, going to get wet, so certainly wear a bathing suit, wear a shirt that you don't mind getting wet because it is a water carnival. And then last is program groups. A lot of things have mentioned. Opening campfire, closing campfire. A lot of things we're running throughout the summer to facilitate social distancing. We are splitting the camp into two halves. There is the Oakenfield Swords and the Riverbend Shields. When you arrive in camp, your troop will be designated into one of these two groups, and that will help you to understand which campfire you go to, which polar bear you go to, which of these programs you do attend, to make sure that we were able to comply with social distancing. Yeah, I think.
Okay, I guess two questions that sort of came in. One was about should my scouts participate in the Rangers program, or if they just recently crossed over. Jacob, I think you wanted to take that.
Yes, they specifically said, hey, my scout just crossed over. Could or should my scout take merit badges? And that's, that is a troop decision. If you are working on some of those requirements prior to camp, some of the, scout first class, second class, or tenderfoot, second class, first class ranks, that's really good. But also we can, teach some of those skills as well. And those scouts that are taking Resica Rangers or in the Resica Rangers program, they will also be working on, if they're a swimmer, swimming merit badge. If they're not a swimmer, they'll be working on some instructional swim time. And also they'll be working on nature merit badge as well as astronomy merit badge. I thought it would be a really good merit badge to teach astronomy, especially since they're going to be doing an overnighter at the lake. It's a really, dark, nice spot to sit and do some stargazing. So if your scouts that just recently crossed over are taking or will be in the Resica Rangers program, there's a possibility that they'll be working on and earning 3 merit badges. So yes, they can still working on merit badges aside from if you would rather them not take the Resica Rangers program. But, if they want to take the Resica Rangers program, which is an incredible program, they're still going to be working on some merit badges as well.
Cool. Thank you, Jacob. Andy, John wants to know if you'll come to his troops campfire on Wednesday night. Already got the first invite of a staff member to a troop campfire. Nice.
Yeah, sure. Let me know the week you're in camp. I'll make it up there.
Cool. All right. And then there's been a couple questions that we've been answering in the chat about the lake shuttle still. We will still be offering the lake shuttle up to the lake. However, because of social distancing in the van, we'll only be able to carry 7 passengers at a time. So that might require a few more trips, or it might require the scouts to plan accordingly and walk up to the lake themselves so that they're not late for the merit badge classes. But we're still offering the schedule for the trips up. Just might be a little different this year. So I think at this point, let's see what's next, right? I think it's Jacob and Andy still talking to us now about the theme, right? How all the theme is going to work into everything.
All right. So I'll take this on this first one. So you can see some unit competitions. We're doing a lot of kind of new and themed around knights and kingdoms and medieval. So the first one you can see there is banners and gateways. Gateways is going to be the same as it is always. Construct a gateway for your campsite. You can make it medieval themed. You can make it relevant to your troop. We do, want you to use scout skills to create it, lashings as opposed to screws and nails to do so. But the new one is the banners competition. There's always this image in fantasy and knight stories of heraldic banners that the knights and the kingdoms rally under. And we kind of want to bring that energy in. So we're kind of having this competition between troops. Patrols themselves can also certainly do it, kind of create like a rendition of their patrol flag in a banner format. To just be creative, create something, bring it to the games, bring it to colors, bring it to events, and just have fun with it. You can see some examples. This is from 2019. We did a staff event that's kind of like a Ren Fair themed, and we made some banners just as like an example. They don't have to be super fancy and creative. You might have even seen some eagle eyes of you out there might have seen these in program areas. They were given out as gifts. But, you've got from right to left, just kind of examples, handicraft, eco, health lodge, STEM, and the shop. So they don't need to be these big grandiose things. Just put some creativity in it, and most importantly, have fun. And then next is quest boards and points competition. Again, another mainstay in the fantasy genre is this idea of at the tavern in the town center, the quest board available to all, and we will kind of bring that energy in. Pretty much what it is with the weekly competition with points, we want to give an opportunity for scouts to do a little extra to get some bonus points outside of the big main events. And so pretty much how it's going to work is scouts patrols the troop, go up to the board, they find one they want to do, they pull it off, they complete it, they prove they complete it, and then they get some extra points for their troop. And some of them are going to be things like find a certain type of plant or relay a message between two staff members. Simpler things are going to get less points, more complex things, more points. And to track them, we're implementing the marble system just as a visual representation of points. So that way it's not a surprise when Friday rolls around and you find out who wins. You can go up to Unami Lodge, the main office, and see a visual representation of where each troop falls, how many points you have, how many marbles in correlation to other troops.
All right, very good. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our program groups. So program groups is a way that we're going to split the camp this year for a kind of a very specific reason. It's going to be fun and themed. We're going to use it a little bit as well during our during our points competition as well. So you'll kind of see a representation of either side to see like kind of which side is prevailing in like the grand scheme of things, even though it's more of a unit kind of competition. But so what the program groups are is we have two groups. We have the Oakenfield Swords and we have the Riverbend Shields. So again, there are going to be two fun themed groups. And the reason that we're going to have them is to split the camp evenly so that exactly half the camp is split with exactly the other half the camp. So when we do things like polar swims, we're going to be able to fit as many people as we can into the pool without overcrowding. When we have the campfire, we're going to be able to fit half the camp into the arena and then fit the other half into the arena for another campfire. So we're going to be able to split the camp in half. So we're going to be able to, do the things that we want to do, which is to really have a grand and great program fitting the theme. So a good example of this will be our opening campfire at 7:30 is going to be the Oakenfield Swords campfire. That's going to run, and then they're going to depart the Richards Arena. And then at 8:45 is going to be the Riverbend Shields opening campfire. And it's going to run exactly the same. Nobody's going to get like a special treatment or a special show that the other one didn't see. We're going to run two great programs that are going to be the same so that nobody's really missing out on anything there. The same then would be kind of for our polar swims. At 7:50 in the morning, we're going to have our Oakenfield Swords polar swim. And then at 8:25, we're going to have our Riverbend Shields polar swim. That is in the morning on Tuesday morning. So that way, both groups get to swim in the pool, and it's not, a bunch of people showing up to swim and us saying, we're not going to be able to do it because there's just too many people. We're going to split the camp in such a way that we're going to do our best to be able to fit the max amount of people that we can so that everybody is getting, a great time. And what do they affect? They'll affect our opening campfire. They'll affect our polar swim. That will be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it will also then affect our closing campfire awards ceremony and our packing time. So that will be closing campfire will be at 2 o'clock for our Oaken Field Swords. And while that's going on, our Riverbend Shields will be packing up on Friday. And then at 3:30, our Riverbend Shields will go to their closing award ceremony and campfire, while our Oaken Field Swords pack up their campsites. So again, that way everybody's going to be able to fit, and we'll be able to, do some great campfires, do some great polar swims and things like that. And as people are going to these polar swims and as people are going to their opening campfire and things like that, they're getting marbles. And then when we take a look at that, total count, we can say, oh, it looks like maybe more Oakenfield Swords showed up for polar swim today. It looks like Riverbend Shields the next day might want to step up their game. And, so it'll be, again, a really fun way to, have that friendly competition, but at the same time, make sure that everybody's being safe and socially distant as well. So we'll move here on to our catapult competition. I wanted to talk a little bit about some specifications that we're posting to the website by the end of March. We want to make sure that these are safe and running, according to the policies that we need to make sure that they're running not only to fit what we want for camp, but also to fit what BSA will approve. So we're putting a 6-foot height cap on those, not including the throwing arm. So if you're building either an A-frame type, that A-frame isn't going to want to reach over 6 foot. If you're building a tripod type, that tripod isn't going to reach over 6 foot. Again, the arm can reach a little higher than that. That's okay. We're not going to be throwing massive things. So when you're practicing with your unit at your troop meetings, what we're going to be tossing will be a sponge about the size of a fist. So it's going to be kind of a spongy ball. So it'll be wet, so it'll get a little bit more distance. So that way you get an idea of what you're throwing. And as you're testing and building your catapult, and you're having your scouts come up with some engineering designs and you're testing them out, that's what we're looking to throw. And we're looking to toss it around 30, 40 yards is what we're doing. And we're kind of looking for accuracy here. So we're looking for accuracy. We're also looking for scouting skills used. So I don't want, again, when I'm going to look at these catapults, to see things screwed together or things nailed together. We want to make sure that we're using lashings, things like that. We want to make sure that all the scouts are involved in the build. So it's not just your older scouts building it while your younger scouts are kind of sitting around. We want to make sure everybody's having a good hand in the building. And we also want to have not only like a good design, which kind of really fits the theme, but also maybe a way to attach your banner to it to show that it's your units, and it kind of has that really cool, medieval feel as well. So again, we want to make sure, just to recap there, that it's not over 6 feet tall, not including the arm that can go beyond, that you're using scout skills to build it, and that we're shooting for accuracy. We're throwing, again, a sponge that's about the size of a fist, and it'll be wet. So kind of a wet, spongy ball. And again, want to make sure that everybody's involved in the build and that it is decorated in some way, possibly including your banner would be a really good idea. Let's see. Andy, do you want to talk a little bit about the weapons policy for our costumes?
Yeah, so one of the things we always encourage is scouts and troops coming up with costumes. It's not just for the staff. You can certainly bring costumes as well. And one of the things that we considered is that knights, what is a knight without their sword? What is a Robin Hood without their bow and arrows? And as such, we felt it necessary to, for the sake of communication, detail the rules regarding prop weapons for camp. If any of you have ever been to like a Comic-Con convention, these are going to sound very familiar, because it's, anything like a sword or a shield should be made out of, more safe materials such as foam, plastic, rubber, wood. It should be incapable of taking a sharp edge. And then any kind of bow and arrow toy prop cannot be strung, and any arrows should be either glued together and then glued into the what's the I blank on the word the heart
A quiver?
quiver. Thank you. Should be then glued into the quiver, or simply if you have some broken arrows, you can just take the fletchings, glue that to a board, and then glue it at the top, and that certainly does the same goal. Our goal with this policy is to ensure that we're still having fun, we're still getting into the theme, but that we are safe at the end of the day, and we don't accidentally injure ourselves with our props.
I'm just going to circle back really quick. I did remember that there are some units that are traveling a distance. If you have questions about the catapults specifically, about bringing your spars with you, you could email me, jacob.huff@resicafalls.org. That's at the beginning of the program guide as well. I'm more than willing to talk about that. I do know that some are traveling quite a distance. Those that aren't traveling overly far, your regular spars are like fine. Bamboo is also a really good tool as well. It's really strong and really light as well. So, does anybody have any questions about any of the program things that we talked about, as far as the unit competitions, your program groups, the catapults themselves, or any of the questions about costumes or information of the costumes we went over?
Yeah. So two questions, I guess, about catapults that we have. Someone wanted to know about trebuchets versus catapults. Is it one or the other, or either acceptable?
Either are acceptable. So a catapult is more of like a fixed arm that the arm actually bends down, and the bend in the arm is actually what launches it. It's almost like spring loaded. And your trebuchet, you're adding weight to the arm, which launches it. I recommend that you have your unit design, what they want, and test it out. And if some of them design a catapult and some of them design a trebuchet, you could do it with almost the same amount of spars, and then test them both out and see what works the best. It's kind of a really a fun way to build up to camp by testing this stuff out, and then bringing what your best option is, and showing off that incredible machine of siege warfare that you built. So yeah, I'm good with either a catapult or a trebuchet.
Cool. Okay. Somebody else asked, related to COVID-19 guidelines, building the catapult trebuchet together. And I think that's probably something that your unit can decide how to handle, as well as, you can have the scouts work at various points at various times. Okay. And that can kind of be the avenue that your unit takes in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah, Jacob, you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you can do the same thing then in camp. So if you're have people on point, so if one person's lashing the top of the A-frame, and then somebody else is down lashing the square lashing for the support of that A-frame, they don't have to do it at exactly the same time. One person can do that, lashing at the top, and then when they're done, they can step away, and then the other person can lash the cross piece, and you can do it like that. And when we're building the catapults at camp, I wouldn't like you to bring pre-built to camp, but as long as you've tested it and bring the spars with you, you can start it on Monday and build it throughout the week. And then when the time comes to use it on Thursday early evening, you can bring the catapult with you, carry it in. That's okay. You don't have to build it on right in the parade field. You can build it in the campsite and bring it with you. And that gives you a little extra flexibility with time to separate those scouts out in building it.
All right. Thank you, Jacob. Andy, somebody wanted to know about their banner being on a pole or without. I don't think it necessarily matters, right?
No, certainly. You can have it free flying, carry it around. You can have it on a pole. You can have it on a staff. Ultimately, it is up to your discretion how you choose best to display your banner. We're not grading the method of display. We're simply going to be grading, evaluating, and cherishing the banners you create.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob and Andy. A lot of fun stuff ahead. And there's much more out in the program guide. It's going to be a fun and exciting summer. I know some people had some questions about the program groups and how that responds to your campsite location or your meal time or anything like that. I think ultimately, right, we're going to let you know that stuff as part of the check-in process, have something for you to display in your campsite for the unit to constantly keep in mind about what your program group, what your mealtime is. So that way, we can all keep it straight and make sure that we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
With
And I was gonna say the different times will also be listed in the newsletters. And they'll also be displayed at the point of use. So like we'd have the times listed at the Richards Arena, if you had a question walking by that day, or at the pool as well. So you kind of know what your time is. Within your campsite, it'll display kind of what your group is. So you just have to remember what your group is, and then you can kind of see that in the newsletters. You can see it as well on your schedule in your site, and you can also see it then at the point of use, which would be like you're at the pool or at the arena.
Great. Thank you, Jacob. What do we have next, Matt? I believe it's the SEEK program, right? Okay, so the SEEK program is really our new revised counselor and training program. We looked at what we were doing with our CITs, our counselors in training, as part of the camp staff, preparing the next generation camp staff. And we felt that the program needed a fresh take. So over the last couple months, we sat down and put together our SEEK program. It's going to be a camper-focused program, so the participants in the SEEK program aren't necessarily going to be part of the camp staff, but rather they're participants that are helping them transition between being campers and being on the camp staff. The SEEK program runs for 3 weeks, and it's an all-inclusive program during that time. So the scouts are going to be participating, will be there in camp from when they arrive on Sunday of their first week till Friday of their third week. So we'll be running 2 sessions of SEEK, which will be weeks 1 through 3 and then weeks 4 through 6. We've hired 2 staff members that are both experienced in camp and education to sort of run this program for us, to help these participants prepare to be leaders both in camp and out of camp. So we're taking a bunch of different elements, putting it together to kind of give the participants a good, strong experience, right? They're going to have, of course, targeted skill development around leadership and around being a staff member, but there's also going to be some fun aspects to the program, of course. Actually, probably more fun aspects of the program more than anything else. So they're going to have their own little their SEEK T-shirts that show, that they're participants in the program. We're going to have a trip plan for them. We're going to have different activities planned for them specific for the SEEK program, as well as them having the opportunity to participate as part of the general camp-wide program at various points. So scouts will have the opportunity to earn some merit badges during their stay as part of the program, as well as joining in campfires and other camp-wide activities as well. The 3-week program that we have lined out sort of has some themes around it, right? Week 1, connecting for growth, getting them acclimated to what the program's about, preparing them to participate in the next 3 weeks of the inclusive program, and still enjoying as much of that regular camp program as they possibly can, as they ease their way into learning what it means to be on the camp staff. Week 2 is going to be pretty intensive with the training and with the involvement of learning how to be a camp counselor. They will be paired with a senior staff mentor who will work with them in utilizing the skills that they are learning throughout the course of the week, so that when it comes time in week 3, when we have our action and adventure sort of set up, those scouts will be ready to teach their own merit badge under the support of that senior staff member who is their mentor, as well as, throughout all 3 weeks, like I said, participating in some fun activities that are really designed to create a strong experience. So the program does cost $450. That's a change from our traditional CIT program, but we feel that the program that we're offering now is much more extensive and honestly a stronger program than what we've offered in the past. That includes the training, the activities, the meals, the housing, the trips, the opportunity to earn those merit badge, right? The supervision of the 2 staff members who are there to support them. So it's a very strong program that needs to have that little bit of monetary support to allow the program to happen. We have some signups for the program already. We're pretty excited about that. So let's see what kind of questions. Are there any questions about this? Somebody asked about being CITs versus being paid staff, right? So counselors in training were never paid, right? They were there to sort of just learn. They weren't part of the paid staff, even as counselors in training. So the program, while they're paying to participate in the program now, the program is much more involved and elaborate and stronger than it had been in the past. There is a 16-person cap for the session, so 1 through 3 and 4 through 6 for the SEEK program. And we're looking to have 14 and 15-year-olds be sort of the ages for those scouts that participate in the SEEK program. This will be probably a good opportunity for some of those older scouts that might be looking for some different things to do over the course of the summer. And they've sort of ran their course through a couple different aspects of the camp-wide program. So that's where we're going with this. Yes, the participants would stay in camp for all 3 weeks. They'll have the supervision of the staff members that are running the program, and they'll be participating in different activities in their area of camp during that time. Can they participate? The program is designed to be inclusive. So if they're participating in the SEEK program, they wouldn't really necessarily be involved with anything if the unit was camping in camp at the same time. The SEEK program is co-ed. It does allow both male and female participants to participate in the program. And we have the leadership, the staffing leadership to support all participants. If there's no other questions about SEEK at this time, we'll transition onto our next part, which is just going to be our general Q&A. So some different questions have been coming in. People have been answering questions and things like that. I know there's still some that are going to be answered still. 14 and 15-year-olds is what we're sort of looking for with participants in the SEEK program. That's not to say that like a 16 or 17-year-old couldn't participate in the program, but we're sort of targeting at 14 and 15-year-olds. Somebody asked about, I guess, adding leaders and scouts. Okay. John, do you want to take that general registration question, because it looks like there's one or two going on here as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. So for those that have asked registration questions or that are wondering about registration, so the numbers are changing, daily at this point as units, confirm their numbers with us for the summer. So if a unit told us they were bringing 25 people, but they only now, confirm and put deposits down for 20, then that decreases the number of scouts for that week temporarily by 5 scouts. So then, that makes 5 scouts available for another unit or for, 1 scout across 5 units. So as those numbers become available, that's why, compared to last month's meeting where we said, everything was kind of like shut down, the deposits have come in lower than what was originally registered for. So you can contact Tracy at the office to do that. And we're also working on how we can post those numbers live so that way folks can see where their week is. So we'll be working on that in the coming weeks, but temporarily, if you email camping@colbsa.org, we'll be able to help you if your week has room and can accommodate your request. Great. But not all weeks can. At this point, it's only 3 or 4 weeks that can, not all weeks during the summer.
Yep. All right. Thanks, John. And that still also applies to adult leaders
Yeah.
as well, right?
Adults and youth. Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. How long is the Rangers program? The Rangers program sort of runs all week. It runs from 9:15 till the lunchtime break, and then picks back up at 2:15, and then runs the course of the afternoon program as well. The 5 days of morning, 4 days of the afternoon. So that's sort of what the Rangers program is. Absolutely, we recommend scouts use the buddy system in all parts of camp. So if you have 2 scouts participating in a merit badge or the Rangers program, that's absolutely fine. Okay. Let's see. Somebody has a question about cell phone policy. Okay. It's up to the unit. Cell phone usage is up to the unit. We have cell service pretty much throughout camp. We offer cell phone charging stations for scouts and leaders. They can put a $5 deposit down at the camp office to get the key. That's just so that make sure that we get the key back and the scouts don't take it home. But it's up to the unit whether they want scouts to have their phones with them in camp or not. Okay. Somebody has a question about altering their numbers and their deposit, right? So your $300 deposit for camp is based upon your unit. So whether you bring 1 scouts or 100 scouts, that $300 deposit's for your unit. The $50 per scout deposit, that is going to be based upon the number of scouts that you will be bringing. So if you put forth a deposit for a certain number of scouts, okay, and you lower that number of scouts, okay, that $50 can be applied to your unit's entire total, okay, or the refund policy that John talked about a little earlier could come into play depending upon when the numbers change, how much money has been paid, and so on, right? And that refund policy is outlined on our website, resicafalls.org, summer camp important documents, and the refund policy is there. Status on weekends during the deep clean period and camp turnover. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, if that's related to the Seek participants or if that's related to something else. Everybody's really heading home on Friday afternoon as part of our deep cleaning efforts to reset camp, like we talked about previously. The Seek participants, as they're being program participants, and the program running through the weekend, they'll be there participating. So I think that is all we have right now. I think there's maybe one or two more things that we want to hit upon at this point, right? So our next leaders update is going to be on April 19th. We're going to have more updates, kind of hit upon any more any changes to the COVID policies that might have come into play at that point. Maybe have a little bit of a check-in run through for you, so you can kind of see what the check-in process might look like in some regards, as well as Jacob and Andy, I'm sure will have some more program details for us at that point. So April 19th will be our next update. You'll receive information about signing up to participate in the coming weeks about that, okay? And this will be our next update, right? And then we'll have one more in May when we'll have our traditional kind of key points about what we need to make sure we're all ready to do for the summer. All right. Also coming up, March 27th and April 24th, we're going to have 2 service days at Resica Falls. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen in camp in order to get ready for the summer. So at this, we're offering 2 service days. There's information on our website, resicafalls.org/volunteer, about those 2 service days. And you can contact Ranger Nick to sign up your unit. If they come and they are willing to participate and work throughout the course of the weekend, they can receive a free ground site to go to camp and help us out on those 2 dates. But there's more details on the website, and you can contact Ranger Nick to make sure that that is a cool deal. All right, really, thanks for coming. It was some good conversations. We're getting excited about the summer. We're looking forward to all the great opportunities that are going to be in camp. Jacob and Andy are really setting up a great program for us. And Matt is really making sure that everything's going to be running safe for us related to our COVID-19 concerns. So Jerry and I and everybody else are feeling very, very good. Look forward to seeing you there very soon, right? Recording of this, like we said in the beginning, is going to be available on youtube.com/Resica Falls in the coming days. And also, if you have any other questions, our emails are in the leader's guide or in the program guide. They're available on the website, or you can just send a general email at hello@resicafalls.org. Which goes to a group of people who will be able to reach out to you and hopefully answer your questions. I think we're just about done here. So thank you again for coming, and we'll see you soon.